Another huge game in the AFC playoff picture today that we wanted to do up here at the top. The Browns grinded out, beating the Steelers. And this is a game we talked about on Thursday, and it's a
Yeah.
huge win. If we're looking at the playoff
Huge.
standings, the Browns go to 7-3 now. It really does feel like, even with all the questions at quarterback, even with the Deshaun Watson injury, the Browns are probably moving toward making the playoffs. And this formula that they showed off today, as ugly as it might be, it seems like it's going to be enough to at least keep them in these games over the last 2 months of the year.
They're going to be must-watch television because they have one of the most dominant defenses in recent memory.
Just because anything is on the table, is that the reason?
Anything. And then they got the ultimate MacGyver offense. Just truly gum and like I always say, gum and toothpicks. This is even what's less than that. I don't even know, but that's exactly what this offense is. Screens, play action, so much play action, so many bootlegs, so many QB runs. They ran the same, like they just kept running the same stuff. It was so funny. Like if I'm ever curious about what are the plays that the Browns install on the first day of training camp, I just have to watch this game. It's just all slant flat, stick. I'm sorry to use terms, guys, but it was just such an elementary offense. But the defense rocks. And this defense has the second best. Yes, here it is. Second best defense in terms of success rate since 2000 through the first 11 weeks, and third best in EPA per play. They basically turn every offense into the Jets offense. So yes, some matchups do help, but they did go against the Steelers offense that had been doing some nice things. So this defense is ridiculous.
The Steelers could not move the ball in this game.
No.
The only thing the Steelers could do is hand the ball to Jaylen Warren and pray. Very rarely do I want to make a reductionist point like this where it's, oh, this guy, he was the entire offense. It was him versus everybody else. That's what it was today. Mm-hmm. Jaylen Warren was the entire offense for the Steelers. He had 129 rushing yards. The Steelers, other than Jaylen Warren, had 120 yards in the game. And their success rate was like 28%. They could not move the ball.
No, they couldn't.
It was one of those games where the Browns clearly had absolutely no respect for their offense. It was just, we're like the big brother, like, stop hitting yourself. Yeah. The pressures that they were bringing over and over and over again, absolutely no respect for the Steelers' ability to deal with it. They've been using this the pressure consistently all year where they'll bring an off-ball linebacker through the A-gap and then drop both defensive ends. Mm-hmm. And it's just a nightmare scenario. And every single time they ran it today, the Steelers just had absolutely no answer.
No, the Rams were doing that against them too. And Warren, who's coach's dream. I love Jaylen.
He's
Warren.
awesome in pass protection. I love watching him just stick dudes.
So in the Rams game, he had they kept because the Steelers pass protection rules were just broken. And like the Rams gamed him up the entire game. But Jaylen Warren just kept having to pick up Michael Hoyt. He's like 310 pounds. Mm-hmm. He's like trying to get in there and trying to help. But Jaylen Warren's just a good player. Like the long touchdown was incredible. I thought that third and extra long screen that he converted, unbelievable, so good. I know. So it just sucks that it's like it really does feel like a battle. And I mean, just the Browns. Outside. I mean, there's Myles Garrett, but just everybody just takes turns. It's just that they felt dominant today, and this is a Steelers team that's again has been doing some decent things. So
the offensive line had no shot in pass protection.
No shot.
They just had absolutely no shot. A bunch of the DBs made really nice plays. Denzel Ward had a stick in the flat on a play that should have been a first down. I mean, that defense again continues to just play with a ton of energy. To me, the blueprint feels like this. So on the second possession, okay, Myles Garrett gets a sack at the goal line. It's 2nd and 20 or whatever. Steelers punt. Browns get the ball back at midfield. First play, or one of the first plays of the drive, boot to Njoku for a chunk gain.
Yep.
Next play, slant flat for like 5 yards.
Yep.
Next play after that, Jerome Ford with a fullback, just a lead run.
Right.
Face mask, sets them up like inside the 15, and they score a touchdown. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, as long as you win the field position battle with the defense, you can get 1 to maybe 2 chunk plays on a drive with smoke and mirrors, set yourself up to get at least 3 on those drives. You're going to give yourself a shot. And they didn't run a ton of boots in this game. And I think it's probably because they're afraid to boot against the Steelers. Yeah. I think we're going to see more of that against other teams, because think about just anecdotally how many plays TJ Watt has exploded when teams try to do that against them. So even in this game, I didn't think we're going to see all the nonsense and bullshit that you're going to see against other teams throughout the rest of the season.
That's why I'm going to have to watch this every week, because I just want to see what they pull out of their ass every week, because that's what it is. They're just going to be trying to game it up. Like, it's all about, like, I love that you brought up the field position stuff, because that's what it is. Like, they're going to have to just throw haymakers. It's like, all right, we got 3 chances. We got to hit on 1 or 2 of them, and then
can we get one chunk play a drive somehow? Right? Can we? Not one alive is a lot. Can we get one explosive every other drive?
Yes,
maybe. I mean, like, that has to be what they're seeking out.
That's it. You brought up that sack, though. Horrendous spot by the official. Kenny Pickett was turned into the end zone when he was on contact, because he turned away from Myles Garrett. So it goes where the ball is. So he's on the line, or behind the line.
Count on you.
Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. And it's perfect, because in the video, I just did a screenshot on Twitter, but you can see the guy leaning forward to, like, make the call. And then he runs up and he's like, he is so adamant. 1 yard line, 1 yard line. I was like, oh, you were so wrong. Oh, I just, had to mention that. So I'm glad you brought up that sack. Yeah. But it was, I couldn't wait to talk about the refs. That's always a highlight for me.
I know that they didn't ask him to do a lot. What did you think of the way that DTR played in the game?
He did all he could. I mean, it's slant, flat, and stick, and, like, he's just, as he does, like, why? Okay, so those are just
quick
game concepts.
Here's the reason I asked.
I was going to explain slant, flat, stick, why it's elementary.
Go ahead, just very quickly.
Okay, those are just like what everyone runs those from high school on upwards, and then the QB run game. I think he did okay in that role, but it's still just like, it's so day one.
It's a very elementary role.
Yes, but he did well in that role, and, like, so, but it wasn't much. They didn't ask him to do much.
He took 1 sack for -2 yards. That's it.
Avoid mistakes.
Threw 1 interception that was on a tipped ball. He should have gotten picked off at another point in the game, but for the most part, he took decent care of the ball and didn't take any sacks. That is a good start for the formula that we're talking about with the Browns. They signed Joe Flacco to the practice squad today.
Okay.
Do you think that there is a timeline where Joe Flacco is potentially a better option for this recipe that we're talking about for the Browns down the back half of the season?
I think so. If they think that they want to get, like we said, it really truly becomes a weapon. I think if they get into the heavy play action world, just because of how Flacco plays, and I think he just, as a I think as a game management, just, you're counting on reps and starts that he can just handle these moments a little better. It seems DTR, like most young players, just goes way up and way down as the game goes along. So I think maybe Flacco could steady his ship, which I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if I saw him on the field, just because of what he's needed to do in that role.
The numbers looked worse for DTR, and Njoku had a couple bad drops in this game. The one in the end zone, there's a lot of contact, but that ball could have been completed on the back shoulder. But he had, I think, 2 more drops in the game. Even after the game, he said it was unacceptable the way that I played. So that helps the stat line a little bit. The last thing I wanted to mention, the slant to Amari Cooper on the last drive that sets him up for the field goal. It's a beautiful route. It's like a beautiful route. He sells it upfield, comes back across. Like, he has had some really nice moments this season, and they still have a decent amount of players on offense to kind of patch this thing together, even with an injured offensive line. So we'll see what that recipe, what that blueprint looks like here in the second half of the season. But this team is on its way to playing in the playoffs with this recipe.
So now that I already answered, but now I started thinking, and some of my kind of moments came flashing back. So DTR actually in a couple moments had some real rough moments. Now I'm really thinking about it, but so I do think that Flacco is going to actually come up quicker than we expect, because there was one throw he almost got picked. It was a sail route in the third quarter on 3rd and 8. He throws it, and so it's an outbreaker. He throws it like 3 hitches late, and he's going from all the way from one sideline to the other. And it was just like a great example again of like what NFL windows and timing is. It's like, not only if you're 2 hitches late, but 3 hitches late. Yeah, that was one. But then there's another where Cedric Tillman, you were talking about just how they have other playmakers now, which is kind of nice. I think I want to watch him a little bit more. But he's running on
toothpicks. Played the end around to Cedric Tillman today.
He's running
one more example.
Yeah. Oh my God, all the end rounds. You're going to see so many of those. There's going to be flea flickers, I'm sure, double passes. But Tillman's running on a crosser. It's like 3rd and 10, and he's open like at the hash, and you can see him look, and then he keeps running, and then he's at the next hash, and he looks, still waiting, goes into like in the seam area, looks, and then he's like finally just waves like this, And then DTR was like, oh, throws it to him. And he just gets sawed off. And I was like, oh man, that stinks. So like he brought everyone saw him kind of waving in the air. So there's some lows today. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Their quarterback situation, I think, definitely something to keep an eye on.